Okay, good morning, boys and girls, my beautiful accelerated students. Miss Munoz here. Today is going to be a completely asynchronous lesson, but we're going to go over the lesson that I would have taught you if I would be in class right now. So the question is, what is volume? And volume is the quantity of three-dimensional space enclosed by a closed surface, and it's measured in cubic units. In little simpler words, right? Volume is the capacity, is how much a 3D figure can hold, right? And volume is going to be measured in cubic units. So we're going to write the units like with a little three, right? It could be cubic units like that, cubic centimeters, cubic inches, right? And in other words, volume is how much a figure can hold, right? And we're going to measure in cubic units, cubic inches, cubic centimeters. And it's because we're going to be multiplying through dimensions. We're going to be multiplying pretty much base, height, and the height of the 3D. In other words, length, width, and height. So that's why we're going to be measuring in cubic units, right? And that's what is volume. Volume is the amount, right, that a 3D figure can hold, right? And this is like the very fancy definition. In this video, we're going to go over only 5 slides, and then I'll create another one with 5 slides. So here, volume of a prism. The volume of a prism is volume in your formula chart. It looks like that is a volume, right, equals to big B, right? Big B is the area of the prism's base, and the height is the prism's height, right? So, in other words, we're going to get the area of the base, right? Which it could be a rectangle or it could be a triangle, right? Once we figure out the area of the base, we will multiply that area of the base times the height of the prism. So this formula is in your reference materials. And here it's telling you shade the base in yellow, right? I already did. And then it says highlight the height in blue. So here, this is the height, right, that we're going to be looking at to use as a dimension to multiply. And quick note, height is the distance between the two bases, right? So if you notice here, the height is the distance between this base and this base. And here again, height is the distance between the two bases, right? That's how you can identify the height of the prism. So there. And then we go on to the third slide. And here is a very basic question. This is name the shape of the base. So I see the base here being a rectangle, right? And so I will say, well, the base of this shape is a rectangle. And we are pretty much done with that. Slide number 3. Then we move on. You can pause at any time, And I'm asking you to please copy these notes on your journal just for you to have this information handy whenever you need to find volumes. And what is the big B, right? Well, first, it says the volume of a prism. That's how you see it on your reference materials, like here. It says the formula is volume equals area of the base times height. That's what the big B stands for. So here we have understanding the formula to find volume of prisms. The big B means the area of the base, which it could be a rectangle or it could be a triangle. Those are the only two that we're going to be dealing with in this grade level. Then it says height. Height means, H means the height of the prism, which in other words you can write here is the distance between the two bases, right? And remember, height must always be perpendicular to the base. So the height must make 90 degrees with both bases, right? So at the end, all we have to do is multiply the big B, which stands for the area of the base, and we multiply the height, right? So that's how we get the volume of a prism. And moving on, here it says how volume works. Well, what we get when we get the area of the base, here is the big B, right? We pretty much get the very first layer that we could assemble of little cubes right, inside of the 3D figure. So this will be like the big B. 6 times 3, we would have here 18 cubic centimeters. That's the very bottom layer. But then if we want to find out what is the volume of a 3D figure, we would have to look at the height. And the height here, as you can see, is 4 centimeters because you have, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 centimeters here. So that's the height. And so we multiply the area of the base, which is 18 cubic, my bad, this is not cubic, this is square, square centimeters. And we multiply that by the height of 4 centimeters. And at the end, we have a volume of 72 centimeters. You used to say the volume of a rectangular prism back in elementary as length times width times height. But if you think about it, if you multiply length times width, what you're doing is getting the area of the base, right? And then you multiply by the height of the prism. And so that concludes the very first, I believe, the very first video, right? And the next video, we will start practicing. See you soon.